In August 2020, I decided to travel to Venice in Italy. The EU borders have been open for almost 2 months and COVID numbers still look stable. So we decided to take a peek at how different Venice looks now. So as you can see, the market is pretty empty. I don't know if it's because of the pandemic or if it was because in the morning, but it was only about a quarter capacity. It's almost 11 a.m. and we're on our way back to St. Mark's Square. We wanted to show you guys how empty it is. We're walking from the Rialto Bridge to the square, so it's usually quite a busy area. Most restaurants seem to open around noon in Venice, so it hasn't quite hit the peak time yet, but most people should be out by now. You guys may be noticing that some people have their masks on while some don't. That's because masks aren't required outdoors, only indoors or on public transit. Venice is well known for their overcrowding issues, and St. Mark's Square is known to be the worst area. So for those of you that know what the square normally looks like, this is basically empty. For those of you that don't know how crowded the square can get, this is how bad the square can get. Even though Venice was overall pretty empty, it wasn't without other tourists, and there was a line for the palace. Not because the palace was busy, but because they were strongly limiting the number of guests at a time. So no matter what, don't forget to buy your tickets ahead of time so that you can skip the line. Probably the most famous spot of all, the Bridge of Sighs. This bridge connected the palace to the prison, so the name refers to the prisoners who walked across and sighed as they took their last look at freedom and the beauty of Venice. Looking into Venice, every blog and video said, prepare to get lost in Venice even with Google Maps. But we only got lost once, and it was only because we thought we were smarter than Google Maps and tried to take a shortcut. Don't be like us. You're not smarter than Google Maps. It knows where all the little alleys and canals connect. Follow it to the T and you won't get lost. If you didn't already know, you get around Venice by walking or by boat. No cars, buses, or bikes are allowed on the island, which means public transit is all by boat. The public ferry is called the Vaporetto, and it works just like a public bus would. There are stations throughout the island that you wait at. I just wanted to show you guys what taking the ferries during this time was like. It was probably one of the few places that felt crowded during our visit, but it makes sense since the locals also use the ferry. Masks are required to ride. They will not let you on without one. Look at how fast they can pull into a station. I didn't speed this up at all. Okay, so we're back on the Vaporetto after eating. This time we rode it not because we needed to get across anywhere, but because we didn't want to blow money on a gondola ride. Gondola rides in Venice are infamous, but average 80 euros for a half-hour ride, sometimes more if you want a sunset ride. That sounded crazy to us, so we decided to just ride the Vaporetto at sunset and get the same view. And as a bonus, y'all can also see one of the busiest Vaporetto stops along the way. Okay, that's about all I have for y'all. Overall, Italy felt very safe. Safer than back home in Germany, honestly. Trains in Italy were legally required to space out the seats. They actually reinforced masks. They had hand sanitizer used in almost all stores and restaurants. They took our temperatures before entering anywhere touristy like churches, museums, and trains. It was slightly busier than we were expecting, but 80% of the tourists in it were Italians with a sprinkle of German we heard every once in a while, and we barely heard any English throughout our trip. So our guest was right. Europeans are avoiding Italy, and it was just mostly Italians traveling locally. Thanks for watching one of my very first videos, and stay safe, everyone.